You know that feeling, right? That little itch, that constant desire for what's next, for the future to just hurry up and get here. Well, today we're going to dive into that exact feeling with a beautiful and kind of heartbreaking tale from Hans Christian Andersen. Our story begins out in the woods with a nice little fir tree and its very first wish. And right there, that one little sigh, that tells you everything you need to know about this tree. From the very beginning, all it wanted was to be older, bigger, and frankly, anywhere else but where it was. It was never, ever happy just being. So, Section 1, a tree full of longing. This is all about the restless youth of our fir tree. You see, this longing, it was everything to him. He was so wrapped up in it that he just couldn't see the good stuff happening right in front of him. The warm sun, the fresh air, even the kids who would stop and say how pretty he was. Nope, all of that was just background noise. So the years start to tick by. The first winter, a little hair can just hop right over him. The next winter, nope, the hair has to go around. By the third winter, he's a pretty good-sized tree. But here's the thing. As the tree grew, so did its impatience. Getting bigger wasn't a win. It was just another sign that he wasn't big enough yet. Frustrating, right? And this was the thought running through his head like all the time. The sunbeams would literally tell him, hey, enjoy this, enjoy being young and strong. But he couldn't hear it. For him, it was always, always about the destination, never about the journey. Every year, he'd watch the biggest, most beautiful trees get cut down, and he'd wonder, where do they go to? What became of them? But you know what? He wasn't scared. He was jealous. He'd dream up these amazing futures for himself, like maybe he'd become the mast of a huge ship sailing the world. Literally anything seemed better than just staying put. Section 2, the magnificent career. And here's where a dream of splendor comes true. One day, as Christmas gets closer, the little sparrows are chirping about this incredible destiny. Something even better than being on a ship. A destiny right in the middle of a huge celebration. And boom, just like that, his dream comes true. He's chosen. They take him inside to this incredible room, and he gets decorated with just everything. Gilded apples, little toys, hundreds of twinkling lights, and right at the very top, a giant golden star. I mean, this was it. This was the moment he'd been waiting for. He was the center of the universe. He's literally trembling with excitement, thinking this evening, how it will shine this evening. But see, even in this perfect moment, he's already looking past it. He's absolutely convinced that something even more amazing has to be coming. This can't possibly be the best part, right? It's gotta be just the beginning. So that night, with all the kids laughing and playing around him, a man sits down and tells a story. Just one. And it wasn't some grand adventure story either. It was the story of Humpty Dumpty. You know, the guy who fell down the stairs but somehow still got to marry a princess. And the tree hears this and thinks, well, who knows? Maybe I'll fall downstairs too and get a princess as a wife. He totally takes this silly little story as a sign for his own future. He's so busy looking for the next great thing that he completely misses the magic of what's happening right then, under his own branches. Section 3, Forgotten in the Darkness. And here's where the splendor begins to fade. Because after the magical night comes the morning after. And it's not what the tree expected at all. The party, well, it was over. Yeah, that glory did not last long. The servants just dragged him upstairs, and his entire world flips. One minute he's in this beautiful, warm room with carpets and sofas and laughter. The next, he's shoved into a dark corner of an attic, no daylight, totally alone, just forgotten. And in that quiet darkness, he starts to think, if it only were not so dark here, and so terribly lonely, not even a hair. Can you believe it? He actually starts to miss the things he used to hate. He misses the forest, the sun. He even misses that annoying little hair that used to make him so mad. Section 4, the happiest evening. Here we see a brief joy found in memory. His loneliness is finally broken, but not by people. It's by a few little mice. And they come up to him, all curious, and ask him to tell them about himself, to tell them a story. So the tree starts telling them everything about growing up in the forest, the sun, the birds, and of course, about Christmas Eve. And the mice are just captivated. They say, "Well, to be sure, how much you have seen, how happy you must have been." And it's funny, right? As he's telling the story, he starts to see his own life through their eyes, and for the first time he sees how wonderful it all actually was. And right then, he gets it. He has this huge, kind of heartbreaking realization. Happiness, it's a time that was actually happy, but you didn't know it until you were telling the story later. All those moments he was so desperate to escape, those were the happy times. It's why, when some rats show up later and say the Humpty Dumpty story was dumb, the tree gets all defensive. He says, "I heard it on my happiest evening, but I did not then know how happy I was." See? It wasn't about the story itself. It was about what that evening meant. An evening he now knew was the peak of his whole life. Section 5. A Story's End. This is the final painful lesson. Okay, so one morning, he gets pulled out of the attic, and for just a second he thinks, "This is it, my life is starting again." But when he gets outside, it's brutal. The sun is shining, there are fresh flowers everywhere, kids are playing, but he's not part of it. He looks down at himself and sees he's just withered and yellow, old and ugly, just lying there in a pile of weeds. And then, to add insult to injury, a little boy runs up, rips the golden star right off the top, and just tramples all over the branches. You can hear them cracking under his feet. The last little piece of his moment of glory just destroyed like it was nothing. And as the gardener's boy starts chopping him into firewood, it all clicks. The tree finally gets it. And he thinks, "'Tis over, 'tis past. Had I but rejoiced when I had reason to do so, but now it is past, 'tis past." Can you just feel the regret in that? I had my chance to be happy, and I missed it. And now, it's just over. The wood goes into the fire, and it flames up bright and hot. And as it burns, it lets out these deep sighs. The story says each sigh was like a little shot. And just like that, the story is over. His whole life, all that wishing and waiting, gone. So the story of this little tree really leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? It makes you think, what moments are you wishing away right now? What beautiful, simple things are you overlooking while you're waiting for some big future splendor that